Dominican all-star team. And an incredible thing when you think about the size of that country. For whatever
He closed the gap on Peterson. He stayed very close to Peterson, who was taller and had longer arms. He made it very difficult with his counter punches on the inside. He was able to bob and weave a little bit to get under Peterson's punches, and he's fighting in close quarters. Something that Peterson wanted to do was that Peterson should not have elected to do with a shorter fighter. There you see him kept banging. He banged to the body. He threw good uppercuts. And it was the perfect fight for him and the wrong fight for Peterson because of the height advantage.
Diaz out-threw and outlanded Peterson in the last 2 rounds of that fight, but Peterson was able to hold on for the decision victory, which some ringside observers felt could have gone to Felix Diaz instead. If that had happened, he would be an unbeaten fighter coming in tonight against the unbeaten Terence Crawford. Roy Jones, the big moment now in a lot of Crawford fights is when does he turn southpaw? But tonight he's going against a southpaw body puncher. Will that affect his decision? What will he do?
Well, you know, Terence Crawford usually says he looks for that time, but to me, just knowing Terence Crawford and how competitive he is, he'll want to come out right away and as quick as he can prove to the southpaw that he's a better southpaw than this guy who won a gold medal at the Olympics as a southpaw.
So it's quite a mental edge for Crawford against another southpaw if he can make clear when he switches that he can out-southpaw the southpaw.
Without a doubt. That's how competitive Terence Crawford is.
Crawford's, you know, you think about the great switch hitters in history, you know, Mickey Mantle, Eddie Murray, Pete Rose, Bernie Williams, one of my personal favorites, center fielder for the Yankees. In boxing, it's Marvin Hagler. But Terence Crawford seems on his way to being mentioned in that category of switch hitter. The way he switches up, Roy, is effortless. It seems completely natural. He can do it in the middle of a combination, and there hasn't been a guy since Hagler who's so natural doing it as Terence Crawford.
He's the only conventional stance fighter I've ever seen, guys, who gains power when he switches to southpaw. That's highly unusual. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape now for Terence Crawford against Felix Diaz, and you are going to see some very marked numerical advantages for Crawford here. He's got a 4-year age advantage against Diaz, but then look at this, 2.5 inches taller, 3.5 inches longer in the arm from the armpit to the end of the fifth. They both weighed in under the 140-pound limit. Crawford rehydrated up to 157. There's a small edge for Diaz. He rehydrated even more, up to 161 pounds. Let's go to Michael Buffer for the official introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden, New York City, New York, USA, this is the main event of the evening. And it's all brought to you by Hall of Fame promoter Mr. Bob Barham for Top Rank Incorporated in association with DeBella Entertainment. Sponsored by Tecate, Born Bold. 12 rounds of boxing. This is for the unified WBO, WBC, Super Lightweight Championship of the World. Sponsored by Tecate, Born Bold. Sanctioned by the New York State Athletic Commission. WBO supervisor is President Francisco Paco Barcarcel. WBC supervisor ringside Michael George. WBC president Mauricio Suleiman. The 3 judges scoring this bout, Glenn Feldman, Julie Letterman, and Steve Weisfeld. And inside the ring in charge of the action at the bell, World Championship veteran referee Steve Willis. And now, the officials are ready, the fighters are in the ring, and they are ready. So for the thousands in attendance and the millions around the world who wish they could be here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner with his trainer, Felix Diaz, wearing black with red and gold, official weight 139.4 pounds. This Olympic gold medal champion now has a professional record consisting of 19 victories, 9 wins by knockout, only 1 disputed decision defeat. He is the challenger, damas y caballeros, el retador de Santo Domingo, República Dominicana, el hijo de oro, Felix Diaz Jr. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner with his trainer, Felix Diaz, wearing black trimmed with gold, official weight 139.2 pounds. His record as a professional, a perfect one. 30 fights, 30 victories, 21 wins by knockout. He's a 2-time world champion, the reigning, defending, undefeated WBO, WBC super lightweight champion of the world, the fighting pride of Omaha, Nebraska, Terence Crawford.
Good evening, gentlemen. Both received your instructions in the dressing room. I want you to obey the commands, protect yourselves at all times. Right now, over here, we're going to call everything under the letters. Over here, we're going to call everything under the letters, okay? Tap it up. Let's go.
All right, y'all. We ready for the fight, man.
Felix
Fight
Diaz
time.
pulls the upset off
Your
tonight.
boy Cloud
Might
Life.
be
I'm
the
here.
biggest
I'm
win
here.
in the history of Dominican professional boxing.
Man, who y'all got in the fight? We got 30
Terence
people in here
Crawford
right now.
Is as special
Who you
as he
going
is,
with?
Roy. You mentioned it, because he's next level competitive. He's one of the most competitive athletes in the world.
Let me
There
know.
are
Leave a
stories about
comment, like the
Michael
video.
Jordan, how he wanted to beat you at everything. That reminds you of Terence Crawford at everything. He doesn't want to lose at everything, and he turns everything into a competition.
And you see he starts out southpaw already because he's fighting a southpaw, so you knew he'd want to come out and show the southpaw that he could beat him as a southpaw. That's that competitive spirit that you're speaking about, Matt.
So tonight there's no switch, unless at some point he switches into a conventional stance. But he has started out in the southpaw stance, where he has seemed to be most effective over the course of the last 8, 10, 12 fights. We've been covering him here on HBO. And in this stance, Roy Jones, long jab, very stiff, hard right jab, pretty good little left hook to the body down there. But
Fight link
most
below if you wanna
especially
watch the fight.
the right hook upstairs, and that jab and uppercuts with the right hand, all those things, tremendous weapons for him in this stance.
Yeah, and what you like about Terence Crawford is you see already tonight that he's utilizing a jab because he's fighting a shorter opponent. So he turns southpaw right away, and he's utilizing that beautiful jab to keep the opponent at bay.
His competitiveness, Crawford's competitiveness, can come out in the ring as sadistic. You know, he's one of the few fighters, Roy, you think of a guy like Roberto Duran with a very different style, the great lightweight and welterweight champ, who enjoyed inflicting punishment. And Crawford, as nice as he is out of the ring, like Triple G, and friendly as he is and approachable with fans, seems to enjoy punishing his opponent.
I mean, it's the sport of boxing. That's what most real boxers should want to do.
Most are very much like the guy with whom he competed in 2014 for Fighter of the Year honors, Sergey Kovalev. They're both sinister in the way that they attack opponents in the ring. Terence Crawford fought 25 rounds in 2016 against 3 different opponents: Hank Lundy, Victor Postol, John Molina. He might have won all 25 of the rounds.
He has caught him with a couple right hooks, not much on them, but showed Crawford he could touch him upstairs.
Now Diaz manages to get inside Crawford's arms just a little bit. Crawford steps away, goes back to firing that jab.
Watch your head. Right. Step back. Watch your head. Watch your head.
But Diaz knows one thing. He knows that he has to get close in order to have any possibilities of landing anything big. He's not going to beat Terence Crawford from the outside. And Terence Crawford is doing a good thing of letting him know that by keeping that jab on him and making him stay at a distance.
See the CompuBox graphic at the bottom showing you that Crawford has already tripled the number of landed punches for Diaz in the round.
Bucket with the water. Nice work. Just keep working like that. I saw you throwing that jab. We're working on. Just throw it now, but give me that second hook longer a little bit. You can see keeping that hand right here. All right. Nice. Keep working that jab. Keep working that jab.
When you're going to get on the inside, you've got to work. Don't just go in and take the punches. Vince, come on, man. He's got the jab. Take that jab away. Come on, let's go.
Roy Jones, you mentioned how
I got
Crawford
the fight
was
link
using
below.
the jab early against a shorter fighter. He wound up throwing 49 jabs in the round.
Click the down arrow.
10, somewhat reminiscent of the night that we saw Gennady
watch the
Golovkin
fight.
come in and throw 52 jabs in the first round against David Lemieux. But this is putting an emphasis
on
where the
round two
emphasis
right now.
belongs.
That's exactly right. And that's guys who know how to make those adjustments right on the fly. They know who to do what against. This is what you like about top pound-for-pound fighters. They know how to make changes and make things happen.
Diaz caught him with an overhand left.
And he caught Diaz with an overhand left as well.
Steve Willis rules no knockdown, saying that Diaz was tripped as he went down. It was interesting to see Diaz land that left hand because Crawford has become such a tremendously effective offensive fighter, it almost obscures the fact that he's a brilliant defender. The first time we saw him in a brilliant defensive performance against the dangerous Bradis Prescott of Colombia, that's really the night that he stepped forward toward prominence in the sport.
Yep, and he just landed a beautiful left hand
Fight
on
link
Diaz
below.
again.
He did, and Crawford is usually hit earlier in a fight a little more cleanly. Class tells over time in the fight game especially, and Crawford is one of those guys who studies his opponent. He'll have success early, but his opponent can sometimes also have some success early as Crawford's figuring him out, and then as the rounds pass, the difference in class tells.
Work your way out. Work your way out. Don't hold that. Break.
Crawford accumulates small advantages and notices weaknesses and exploits them.
Notice that he tied Diaz up and carefully managed him along the ropes there rather than to get into a situation where Diaz could hammer his body.
Yeah, why would you do that with a guy that's shorter than you? You know, his punching power is close at close quarters, so you give him what you want to give him, and you tie him up once he gets in his area to unleash. Don't allow him to unleash.
He has his eyes already gone up a little bit.
Good lateral movement by Crawford.
Goes back to working the jab. He's already thrown 73 of them in the first couple of rounds.
Hey, stop holding, but stay up that hold.
And Diaz has a little mouth under that right eye from that left hand right there.
When Crawford is in the far right corner, as you look at the ring in this angle, the far right corner over by the ring post, when he's in that area, he's working right in front of his mother, who is sitting in one of the front rows. She's by far his biggest fan and his most demonstrative cheerleader. And I assure you, he would love to knock out Diaz in that corner.
Oh, Diaz with another good little right hook on the inside.
He got in a good one. Diaz showing his
I can't put the video up. They'll copyright me.
Disciplines him a little bit. They jaw with each other at the end of the round. June 17th, it's the highly anticipated rematch between Andre
I do
Ward
got the fight
and
link,
Sergey
though.
Kovalev. In November, Ward won a controversial decision to take the light heavyweight championship. Now they meet again live on HBO pay-per-view. And if you want to learn more about Ward and Kovalev before their big fights. A big fight, I should say, including their takes on what happened in the first fight. Tune in to 24/7, premiering June 2.
I want you to pick up 2 rounds. Pick up a little bit, all right?
PZ Crawford landed a beautiful straight
Put the
left
fight
hand
link
over
up.
the top of Diaz's jab.
You gotta click the
on
down
chin.
arrow.
Doesn't get any better than that.
Crawford
And
overrated.
Diaz bounces back though. He's not giving up.
He fighting good though right now.
Hook off of Crawford's jab.
I'm watching the
That's
fight,
a
man. I'm
beautiful
being
right
quiet.
hook
I'm cooling
high
right
on the
now.
jaw of Terence Crawford. Great exchanges by both fighters.
Tracy Morgan.
You gotta click the
seated at
down
ringside,
arrow.
looking good, by the way. Seemingly back in perfect health. And it was great to see Tracy sitting very close to Jerry Cooney on that side of the ring tonight.
I can't promote that the whole time, you feel me? They'll pull down my video.
Crawford very much the kind of fighter with a mentality where when Diaz has a little success.
Let's go, champ! There we go. Let's go, champ! There we go. Let's go, champ! Let's go, champ!
Right at that moment, and it should lead to
Let's go, champ! Let's go, champ! Let's go, champ! Let's go, champ!
kind of intense
Let's go,
exchange
champ!
as the fight progresses.
Crawford putting a little bit of extra oomph on the jab here in round number 3.
Diaz landing that right hook much more regularly than we've seen a fighter land a lead shot in the past.
Against Crawford.
Yeah, but you don't often see Crawford in the left-hand stance right away with guys because he usually starts out as an orthodox fighter. Then he turns southpaw, so they can't hit him with that lead right hook because he usually waits, fills them out, then he turns
you got the
around.
fight link right
But
there.
with Diaz being a gold medalist as a southpaw,
However you wanna do it, man.
Come out and show that not only can I beat you, but I can beat you at your own game. Oh, good
Good
job.
right hand. Right up the middle from Crawford.
Diaz got in another quick right hook.
Crawford definitely winning every round.
Hard right hand by Crawford.
Wow. Crawford's already made the adjustment where he's timing Diaz's right hook and countering with 1-2s, knowing that Diaz will be vulnerable to them and his weight will be forward.
Hard body shot by Crawford with the left hand. Now he throws that left hand upstairs and lands it.
Man, I made you a moderator.
Crawford's accuracy going up now here in round number 3.
Making Diaz pay the price for coming inside.
And for talking to him at the end of the last round.
Work your way out. Work your way out.
These are 2 big junior welterweights.
He gonna get knocked out looking for that
Unofficial
KO.
weight today, basically each 160 pounds. That's a middleweight because of the day before weigh-ins nowadays. Fighters have a full day to rehydrate, so here we have a middleweight fight contested for a junior welterweight belt.
Honestly,
Helps to make boxing one of the most confusing sports imaginable.
honestly, Diaz is a super middleweight. He's 161. He's over the middleweight limit.
Yep.
Man, you can block people. The fight link is below. You gotta click the down arrow. You gotta close out the ad. You might have an ad that pop up.
Uppercuts with both
Just
hands
close
by
it out.
Crawford.
The fight link will
There's
work.
another one. Just missing over the top with the left hand. Another right hand uppercut on the chin by Terence Crawford.
Well, it's that time of the fight where Crawford figures his guy out, starts to really go to work.
Sit. Let's go. No, I don't want it.
I need to work this.
Felix, you're not doing anything.
You gotta close the ad on the link.
You're only going in, man, and you're catching all his punches. Come on, man. You're taking all his punches. You're not working. We're not doing anything. You're letting him come in. You're letting him build. Don't let him build, bitch. Be explosive.
PZ Crawford counter with a straight left, followed by a beautiful right hook, and because he's so
Yeah,
tall,
Crawford
and
won
elusive,
every round,
he slipped
man.
the right hook coming back at him.
You said, what
Take
special
that
power
with
do
the
I have? You got the power to block people.
Brilliant.
You
That's
can block
boxing.
whoever you want to. Just don't go overboard.
Swelling around the right eye of Felix Diaz. As we arrive at round number 5, and Terence Crawford is gradually amping up the accuracy and throwing harder shots. Let's take a look at what's happened in the first 3 rounds in the eyes of our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
Okay, Jim. I got a 3-0, 30-27. Terence Crawford.
He turning Diaz, though.
Jim, Felix Diaz.
He trying to put pressure on Crawford. Crawford just turning.
Okay,
What's the ad?
Felix Diaz is standing.
You gotta close out the ad. You don't
getting
need the
crap
ad.
kicked out of himself. I mean, he's got to start fighting. The guy in his corner at the end of round 2 that said you got to start working was telling him the honest to God's truth. He's got to start working. He can't stand there like this and let Crawford jab him to death with the right jab and then whack him with a hard straight left hand. I mean, Crawford's moving.
We got 45 people in here right now. I appreciate everybody watching the video. Like the video one time for me.
And you probably noticed in Diaz's corner that his trainer is Joel Diaz, made his name for a long time as the trainer of Timothy Bradley, operates out of the desert in California, out near Indio. And Joel, along with his brother Antonio Diaz, have been preparing Felix Diaz for this fight.
I saw Steve Willis, the referee, earlier warned Diaz for jumping in with his head, which he clearly did intentionally, but experienced ref also told Crawford, when you hold him like that, you know that's going to happen.
You got to be tech savvy a little bit.
Good hook by Diaz. The only thing Diaz is not really doing that would help him a little bit more.
You could definitely hit.
He's not using a jab, and that's what Terence
Crawford going to work
doing,
right now.
which is enabling Crawford to keep control of the fight.
I don't know what Diaz is doing.
Crawford on the inside, Roy, slipping those shots.
He coming forward, the high guard, but that shit not working.
Putting himself in the position where Diaz really can't land shots even on the inside.
Another perfect uppercut by Crawford with the left hand. Got oohs and ahs from the crowd.
That jab is keeping Diaz fighting behind Crawford, though. If you notice, everything that Diaz does is after Crawford does something like that. And it's mainly because of that jab.
But then Crawford slips the uppercut.
He's telling you how to right now.
Diaz is actually having his best success timing Crawford from middle distance. Not really landing much once they're inside.
But he's paying a price.
He beat Lamont.
That's what's killing like that right there. That's what's really hurting Diaz the most.
To me, he probably beat Peterson, Lamont Peterson. I think he beat him.
And Diaz is looking good in the late rounds against Lamont Peterson. It was in a phone booth fight. He needs to get, as Harold Letterman suggested, he needs to get up into Crawford's chest, to get inside his arm, to have a chance to really do damage in the fight. As long as Crawford can stand back here at arm's length, he's simply too good, too quick, too skilled for Felix Diaz. And there is the Crawford family.
I can't put up the fight. They'll copyright me.
None of those was Mom, but she's over there.
Yeah, like round 7, he out of there. He kind of want to quit right now, to be honest.
I need a little bit more better timing with the speed, okay? Take that little half a step back when you come in and try to come over top or come with the hook or something. But stay low, all right? Good job, fucking good job.
I want you to start working on that hook. Remember that hook we practiced? With the right hook. I want you to start working on it. He starts dropping that hand, so I want you to look.
Here you see as Diaz tried to walk into Crawford. Crawford just leans back and throws a beautiful
I seen that knockout.
Left uppercut right up the middle. Perfectly timed punch.
Even when Diaz lands some of the kind of more noticeable
he
punches,
fucking Diaz up.
as he times him coming in, and the sweat flies from Crawford. Crawford's actually usually riding some of that shot back, and Diaz doesn't have his weight behind it.
It's like he came in with plan A, and he's sticking with plan A. There's no plan B.
Crawford, alone among top 10 pound-for-pound fighters, has 2 trainers in his corner. They are co-trainers. He sees them as equal. Esau Dieguez and Brian McIntyre. He spent time listening to both of them during the between rounds period coming off of round 4.
Yeah, he probably is.
Good right hand
but Crawford
jab
knocked him out, I believe.
Followed by, counter over the top of Diaz's jab by Crawford.
I think Roberto Duran had co-trainers for a long period at the peak
Yeah,
of his
man, he
career.
got
but
him out of there.
outside of him, Roy Jones, I can't think of another top fighter who brought
And
two of
Walsh
them
was
into the
acting
ring and
like
treated
they
them as
stopped the
equals.
fight
Not
too
many
early.
people can do that
Like,
because most people have one trainer and
nigga,
most
you was
trainers
knocked
have
out.
egos. They don't really want to work with a second trainer, so it's kind of difficult for that to happen.
Both Esau Dieguez and Brian McIntyre,
Andre
Crawford's
Durrell
trainers,
got knocked
are
out too.
relatively ego-free.
I don't
They
know
don't
if
really
you've
care
seen
much
that.
about who gets the credit. They want him to win.
Good hook head, hook body by Crawford. And this is why you have to have a jab as a middleman. If he were jabbing, it would at least force Crawford to try to keep his hands a little bit. But because he doesn't
He a
jab,
gold
Crawford
medalist
just
too. He not acting
picking him
like it.
apart. See, right there, he just got his hands up walking forward. You're never going to get to Crawford like that. You got to have a jab.
Yeah, if he slipped and jabbed on his way in the way Mike Tyson used to do on the way up, given his kind of short, stocky frame and quick hands, by the way, he'd be doing better.
And I know a lot of guys may not know this name, but one of the best short jabbers ever was a guy by the name of Dwight Muhammad Qawi. I mean, he's just the best short jabber in the history of the game to me. Shorter than most guys and could out-jab anybody. Good left hand by Crawford.
Yeah, he is going to be a star. And Floyd, man, he
Iconic
definitely
how
promoting him heavy right now.
Was among that group of light heavyweights who provided tremendous excitement throughout the 1980s and climaxed his career
David
with an
versus the lot.
unbelievable
Yeah,
battle
man,
against
Crawford, he
Evander
definitely got to
Holyfield
move up to
in one of the
147. I don't know why he had
last truly
140.
great
There's
15-round
nobody there for
fights.
him to
The
fight,
last.
really.
The last great 15-round fight.
And I mean a great 15-round fight.
July 12th, 1986.
That's when you realize that Evander Holyfield truly was the real deal.
But when you watch Crawford, the reason a lot of these fighters come to mind, but we were talking about Diaz in comparison just then, is because he's special. And Diaz is a really good fighter, and Crawford here has won every round apparently.
Yeah, he did win every round.
Increasingly wide margins.
Easily. I got a little cold, pardon me, y'all.
Terence Crawford is awfully good for a guy who did not make an Olympic team. Shakur Stevenson was the star of the American Olympic team in Rio this past year, and earlier this evening here in the Garden, Stevenson had his second professional fight appearance, fighting just across the river from his hometown.
How y'all feel about Ward and
Jersey.
Kovalev,
He
too?
scored a first-round
Ward and
knockout
Kovalev.
against an ill-equipped opponent, a showcase appearance for Shakur Stevenson. He's now 2-0, has a brilliant smile, has a pretty sharp straight left hand. And then in the preliminary bout just prior to this one, Ray Beltran, after an odd first round in which he went down on a headbutt, produced that brilliant left hook that knocked Jonathan Maciello cold, and Maciello was taken out of the ring on a gurney with his head secured after his head hit the canvas hard when he went down off the Beltran knockout. Ray Beltran with his fourth straight knockout win as he pursues a lightweight title.
Very impressive knockout.
I got Crawford over Pacquiao. And yeah, I'm
And
going
by the
with
way,
Ward
we've
too.
just been told that Jonathan
You think he
Maciello
gonna
has been
stop
checked
Kovalev?
into the emergency room,
I don't know about
the
that
trauma
one.
center at Bellevue
Well, I'm going
Hospital,
with Ward,
and
though.
we will await further updates from the doctors as to his condition. Crawford slips a punch and fires back 4 in return.
But he's looking so comfortable right now, Jim. He's having everything his way, doing anything he wants to do, landing the uppercut coming in, making Diaz pay the price for everything, every mistake he makes. I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that, Jim.
Yep, pretty typical of a Terence
Roy
Crawford
Jones.
fight in round
Roy
6.
Jones be
It's
hyping
target
everything.
practice. He's selecting his punches as though looking at the menu and ordering a la carte. He's utterly relaxed while he does it.
Listen, he's, and by the way, Diaz taking some of these shots upstairs really well. Crawford landed a right hook to the body about 30 seconds ago. Might be a good idea for him to concentrate down there for a couple rounds, see if he can't get Diaz out of here.
Crawford inviting Diaz to come closer, toying with him
If he beat
now,
Pacquiao, but
humiliating
with
Diaz
Pacquiao,
by
he might not
making
never
clear
fight
to
Crawford.
him that he's unwilling to come into the area where he might be able to do any damage whatsoever. Crawford is, among other things, a master psychologist in there, Roy.
Yes, he is. Very masterful
Yeah, hopefully he does, man. I like Ward, but one thing about Ward, he did slow down a little bit, just a little bit. He dropped the level.
And when I said sadistic earlier, I mean, he's a mean guy in there.
His hand speed.
I brought up Roberto
His
Duran.
foot
Pernell
speed.
Whitaker was another one of these all-time great lightweights. Had mean streaks in the ring.
could
Won a
turn
knockout
around,
punch
though. I
under
could
Duran.
be wrong.
Obviously, Pernell Whitaker wasn't, but was just as mean. Liked beating the other guy up. Roy, you say that that's what you're supposed to do as a great prize fighter, but I remember instances of you waving the referee in so you wouldn't have to hurt your opponent.
Did,
and only
man.
after the ref wouldn't
I
come
don't
in
know
did
what
you
happened
shrug
to
and
Ward.
knock your opponent out.
Yeah, well, me and Muhammad Ali were a little bit different. We didn't have to really be that mean because we were that
Hey, yo,
good,
what up?
and we weren't a mean
Dominican
personality
Republic,
type
what up?
guys. So it's like you have to have that mean personality, and you're right.
Where's
Terence
everybody
Crawford
from?
does have that mean streak that Roberto Duran possessed. Sugar Ray Leonard was like me and Muhammad Ali. We didn't
Hometown
have. Well,
roll
Sugar Ray was
call.
kind of mean though, but only when we needed.
When you needed it,
Yeah.
he's mean all the time
Right.
out there,
That's the difference.
Crawford.
That's the difference.
Sugar Ray Leonard, despite the beautiful smile, had a serious mean streak.
You better believe
And it was very effective for him in the ring.
You better believe it. But only when he needed it.
Ask Dave Green.
New
Dave, you
York,
agree
what
with
up,
that left
what
hook?
up? You already.
Ask
I'm
Donnie
from
Lalonde,
Maryland.
who let his head come up too high and got hit right in the throat.
Omaha. Delaware.
July 15th, Boxing After Dark returns with a triple header. Our main event features Miguel Berchelt against Takashi Miura. Also that night, Israel Corrales goes up against Robinson Castellanos. Castellanos coming off a big knockout win over Yuri Orkis Gamboa. And Bernard Hopkins, conqueror Joe Smith Jr. faces Sullivan Barrera. Joe Smith Jr., the construction worker puncher from out on Long Island, against Barrera. 2 months later, it's the biggest fight the sport can make. Canelo Alvarez against Triple G Gennady Golovkin.
That's the fight
That's
everybody
coming
waiting on.
September 16, and it will be seen
I'm going with
only
Canelo.
on HBO pay-per-view.
I got Canelo.
You're reserving too much. You're reserving yourself too much. What happened? Did he hurt you? No. So why don't you work? Come on.
Brooker
What happened?
Spence. Ah. Damn, man.
Let's go.
I'm leaning
Master.
towards
Play
Brooke
with
for
you.
real. I'm not even going to lie.
Diaz
And my
trying
man
to
calling me
motivate
right
Felix
now.
Diaz.
Our co-host
Really interesting
coming
in our
on here.
4 questions feature before the fight.
Yo.
That Felix Diaz gave that more or less standard answer
Yo.
that he would be in jail or dead.
Yo,
if he
yo,
had not
you
become a
already,
fighter,
man. We
because
live
his
already.
Town in
You
Dominican
already
Republic
knowing that.
is beset with serious social problems, and many people
Nah,
there
nah,
have
you
asked
good.
him to run for political
I'm good. I
office.
was late too,
How's
for
that
real.
for a
Man. I had a
reversal?
little countdown
Harold Letterman,
playing.
maybe you should run for political office, but first, tell us your unofficial score.
Okay, Jim. I
He
got a
said
6 to
Canelo on
nothing,
some
60 to
WWE type
54.
shit. Yeah, he
Terence
is, but
Crawford. You know, Jim is fast.
I got
as. It's
Canelo.
just murdering Diaz.
Spence
It's
about 6
amazing. The
rounds.
guy is so quick. Got that. I'm putting him
Man,
at Terence
I don't
Crawford.
know. That's
Got
gonna be
that
a close
hard right
fight.
jab, that fast left hand, that incredible uppercut. Look at that. He threw a right jab and snapped Diaz's head back. He's doing such a good job with those punches. Landed punch after punch after punch. His movement is tremendous. 6 to nothing. Terence Crawford.
Yeah, talk about a toolbox. What
Man,
doesn't
Crawford
Terence
keeping that
Crawford have
jab
in
on him.
toolbox? The jab
Hey, yo,
with
hold up.
both
Yeah,
hands,
yeah,
southpaw and
yeah. Let me
orthodox.
add that
Oh,
joint
big
up
left
in there.
hand by Diaz. Best punch in several rounds.
Uh-oh. Now, he hurt Crawford a little bit. I'm not going to lie. That
Diaz
shot
has
definitely
come
bothered
alive
Crawford.
in round number 7. He waked himself up with that one big shot.
And now is Crawford.
I'm going with Brooke, man.
Confidence and competitiveness.
It's hard to go
is,
against it.
You know, hubris here. Will he try to prove to Diaz that
Spence
that
could
shot
knock
did
him out,
nothing to
though.
him and open himself up for more shots?
He just did by landing a good left uppercut to show Diaz that he's not as hurt as bad as it looks like he is.
Canelo won't crack
Diaz
that boy.
actually is the worst for the wear.
That
Crawford
hand
landed
speed,
the
man, that's
better
going to be too
shot,
much to get
but
around that.
was shooken up temporarily by that right hook.
Crawford talking to Diaz as they go shoulder to shoulder in there. Diaz with the
You
left,
watching the chat?
and Crawford with another sizzling right hook.
Sizzling body shot. That's what caused the problem.
Oh, all right. I was going to mod you in that joint. Too much
And whenever you
politics
think you
involved
got
with
him hurt,
Canelo.
he attacks you with
Yeah,
bigger
man, it
punches.
is. You know, you trying to get that money. He
He's
going
gonna
that
be
Floyd
extremely-
Mayweather route,
I
to
was
be
talking
honest with
about
you.
earlier
He definitely
in
is.
the night. Diaz eventually hits Crawford. Crawford wants to come right back, and you get this.
I'm going with Crawford,
Diaz's
too.
best round
Team
to end
Crawford.
the fight.
I agree.
And if Crawford
Might be
follows his
underdog, the
career
most
pattern,
underrated. I want to see Garcia fight Lomachenko. That's the fight that really need to be made. And they could fight in September. Just make it happen. Man, I'm getting tired of them talking about Loma all day long. Like, he's a great fighter. I'm not gonna lie, you can't take nothing from him. But
seems to me to be the kind of fighter, Roy, where you're gonna have to separate him from his senses with one shot to get him in a
people
fight
already
like this.
calling him the greatest of all time.
No, he's not. Not at all. And he's smart because he remembers to go to the body. Right
He said facts. You already.
He remembers to go to the body. Most guys don't.
I love the
Man, this fight right here is like
himself right at the
a blowout.
center of the action where he has
Definitely
the closest
overrated.
view the referee can get.
Yeah, I can see.
How are you?
Breathe. Crawford sticking him with that jab.
Let me work.
He keeping that jab on him. He turning him all fight. And he's staying with his high guard. He walking in behind the high guard. He not jabbing. He waiting on Crawford.
You saw you could do it. Now tell me you understood. You understood you have to work. So let's go.
And it's wild because, man, he fucked Sammy Vasquez up. He almost beat Lamont Peterson. And Crawford just blowing him out, man. His levels out here. For real.
He countered with a beautiful overhand left. Best punch he's been able to land all night. He still paid a price to land the punch, but he did sacrifice and get something back.
Imagine Keith Thurman and Crawford.
In that seventh round,
really
Felix
be the
Diaz
fight.
landed a fight-high 16 punches. He threw 63, his largest number
Keith
thrown
Thurman
in
and
the
Crawford,
fight.
man,
Crawford
I'm telling you.
was 18 out of 46. That was a heck of a round for both fighters.
Well, you saw that stare
Yeah,
down
but I
at the
can't
end
wait
of
for
the
next
round.
weekend, though,
That was
man.
a world
That's
champion
definitely going to be the fight.
and a former Olympic gold medalist competing against each other, neither wanting to give an inch. That's when you get that special kind of action.
Oh, man. Okay, there we go. Let's load him up.
Yeah, you gotta load it
Funny
up.
now that you see the fight has changed. Terence Crawford is now the stalker. He's the taller guy.
Yeah, I
who
like
should be
Stevenson,
outside
too.
just boxing, and the short guy Diaz should be doing the stalking. And now Crawford is stalking because it's championship time.
He over there with Andre Ward and
He
them.
got caught with a big punch last round.
Y'all good team
left
behind
hand
him.
counter by Crawford.
Yeah,
Great
white boy
combination
saying
by Crawford.
GGG.
While they continue
Yeah, I'm
to
just
fight
being
here
honest,
in round
man.
number 8, we'll once again update the
Somebody
Johnson
told me that
Maiciello situation.
Daniel
We had
Jacobs
told
weighed
by
195
people who
pounds.
are
Like,
in
come
the
on, man.
emergency
Y'all
room
been
with Bellevue
outrageous.
and
Really?
can see what's going on, that Maiciello is
Daniel Jacobs, he
and
fought
communicating with
Golovkin
doctors.
in
It
March.
appears
And
that he is being treated
I'm
for
like,
a
man,
concussion,
no way he gained
but
30
nothing
pounds. I
more
don't want to
severe
hear
than
that.
that at this point.
Crawford really landing some heavy shots in this round.
Yeah, that was that right jab again.
Right? And the difference in this fight, as is usually the case, when you have a fighter on Crawford's level versus a level below.
We got 90 people in here right now. I appreciate everybody watching the video. Like the video if you like the video. And click that red button, subscribe to the page.
Diaz, when he has success, it's generally with a right hand, and then Crawford's able to cover.
When referees become enormously popular in boxing, it isn't necessarily always because they are great
Yeah, man, he's a good
referees, but
fighter.
because they have something in the way of
High
a personal
pedigree.
style that's
Crawford is
entertaining
better.
to watch. Steve Willis is as entertaining to watch as any referee currently working in boxing, and the level of his assignments tells you that the New York State Athletic Commission also believes he's a very
There we go. Go, Sam.
the facial expressions that he brings. He's involved in
We
the
got a
fight
new
much
subscriber.
more than some other
Welcome to the
referees appear
team,
to
man.
do.
Welcome to the family.
But that's all based on a foundation where he makes good judgments. You know, he shows his discretion, his judgment is sound, almost always. Good right hook from Crawford.
Oh, that hurt him. That hurt Diaz bad.
Yep.
He been hurting him with the uppercut all night.
One or two more of those to the body, Roy. I
Go
think
to
he's
the
hurt
fight.
by that left hand to the body.
Nah, I can't put the fight up there. Copyright. You got a new one right there. But I do got the fight link though. And Crawford won every round.
Willis wraps his arms around Diaz
Wide
to
margin.
protect him from one more shot.
I got the
at
fight
bell.
link below. You
You're
gotta
looking
click
at
the
Julius
down arrow.
Ndongo. Julius Ndongo
I ain't gonna
is
leave
from
it
the
up there
nation
too
of
long. They'll
Namibia
pull down the video.
in Africa, and within
Fight
the
link
past
below.
year, he has scored 2 stunning upset
Description
victories
box right there
to
for y'all.
capture the other 2 140-pound title belts. The other two, I mean, that Terence Crawford has two 140-pound
Nah, I can't put the fight up there.
Because
Copyright.
Ndongo has now collected the other two. Crawford, if he chooses to fight
what's going on in the
Ndongo,
fight.
would have a chance
Crawford's
for
winning
a
every
rare
round.
feat.
I'm going to try to turn the volume
all
up. You
four
can hear
of
it
the
more.
belts in the division. It hasn't happened since back in the day in the middleweight division when Jermaine Taylor took all 4 belts away from
We
Bernard
talked about
Hopkins.
Lomachenko already.
One
He
step
need to
closer
fight
to
Mikey
landing
Garcia.
beautiful uppercuts just like that really hurt Diaz.
But
I think
he is
Diaz's
incredible.
knees are starting to weaken.
But a lot of people act like he the greatest of all
That
time.
was a beautiful, picture-perfect left uppercut while Diaz was coming in.
So just to make the point, Ndongo is here because Crawford and his promoters are looking at the possibility of fighting Ndongo and trying to acquire the other 2 belts in the 140-pound weight class. And Max Kellerman, it happens so rarely in boxing, it would be another feather in Crawford's cap.
Yep, the belts are still important to the fighters, and I would say for people to, good left hand.
He heard Diaz.
Diaz in trouble again.
Diaz was in trouble a couple times in the last round and again here. I would say you think about boxing with the belts the way you would think about college football before the national championship game over the last several years, which is to say that it's like winning a bowl game. Doesn't necessarily mean you're the best in the division.
He could lose to Loma.
But it's a nice thing to do. And
I'm not saying he could win. He could
win
lose.
all the bowl games, there would be very little
But that's
doubt
definitely
that
the
you're
fight that
best in
needs
the
to
world.
happen.
One of the things that makes Canelo Triple G such an enormously attractive fight and important for the sport is
But
that
I'm not
Canelo
going to lie,
still
though.
holds
I'm being
what
honest
is
right
called
now.
the lineal
I feel like
middleweight
Loma could beat
championship,
Rigo, though.
while Triple G
I'm being
has
honest
3
with you.
belts.
I feel like he could beat Rigo.
Meaning, the lineal meaning he's the man who beat the man who beat the man.
And that man was Miguel Cotto after Miguel Cotto beat Sergio Martinez. And it was an oddity because really Martinez, Cotto, and Canelo Alvarez at that time, all 3 were basically 154-pound fighters functioning in the middleweight division.
And to your point about lineal, and this looks like it could be coming to a close before too long the way Crawford's dishing out this punishment. Martinez beat Pavlik, who beat Jermaine Taylor, who you mentioned, beat Bernard Hopkins, who'd beaten everybody.
Diaz has thrown only 8 punches now here with 1:15 to go in round 9. So he's slowed down considerably.
Oh, nah, man.
In the
He's
last
good,
couple
David.
rounds. Roy, you made the
I
point in the
appreciate
last
that, man.
round that big shot may have been the beginning of the end for Diaz. And now Crawford is carefully selecting the power shots that he lands to try to bring this to the close.
Yeah, because Diaz is 161
He could
pounds.
be. He possibly could be. But right now, to call him that.
Very smart. You can't just run in there on him any kind of way. A dangerous animal is a wounded animal is a very dangerous animal. So
I don't think the animal can see so well either. And Crawford's taking
How about
advantage of it.
Gamboa, though? He's building up the fight with Gamboa and Loma, and Gamboa got
He
knocked
won't
out.
allow the punishment to continue just for the sake of spectator appeal. He will protect fighters from unnecessary damage.
And right now, they managed to protect Diaz from himself. But he's
Crawford
taking a
got
pretty
Diaz in the
bad
corner.
thrashing
He's going
here.
to work.
Yeah.
Diaz trying to put up one last burst, going hard at Crawford as he came out of the corner. 10 seconds to go in round
One
9.
thing
It's been a
about
really
Diaz
rough
right
one
now, though,
for Felix
he's
Diaz.
trying
What
to
Diaz's
survive
corner
to
has
me.
to say in
Like,
between rounds.
he's trying to win by landing one punch, but he's trying to survive. Yeah, man, he destroyed Gamboa.
Well, on
Gamboa
June
came
17
out the
is the
gate
highly
like the first
anticipated rematch
2-3
between Andre
rounds.
Ward
He
and
did some
Sergey
good
Kovalev.
work.
In November, Ward won a
But
controversial
eventually,
decision to take the light heavyweight
the height,
championship.
the reach,
Now they
the
meet
skill
again live
level.
on HBO pay-per-view. And if you want to learn more about Ward and Kovalev, including their takes on what happened in that first fight, tune in to 24/7, premiering
got the
June
fight
2.
link below, y'all, man. Hit that arrow.
I don't want you to get
You
hit.
can watch the fight.
You can't
If
win
not,
the
you
fight
can hit
this
the
way.
fight in head.
If you show me that you dominate this round, I'm going to stop the fight, okay? Okay.
It should have been
There's no
stopped the
need to
fight.
take so many punches, bastards. Come on. I told you already. Hey, we're down.
He looked bad in the corner, too. Like,
Here you see
it's not
Crawford
looking
land a
good.
beautiful overhand left at the beginning of the round. That took all the fight out of Diaz for that particular round, I think. He backed up right there, didn't seem to
He
want no
leading
more
with the
action.
overhand left,
That
too.
shot hurt him
Crazy.
pretty bad. But Diaz is a very
He
game.
leading
I gotta
with the
say, I
overhand
understand why his corner
timing, man.
would send him back out. But to tell you the truth,
Yeah,
it's not necessary.
this fight,
There's no
it
point.
could be over. They holding him up in the corner. I'm going to show y'all real quick, man. Hit that red button, subscribe to the page. Flower World
The
Media.
athletic
He coming out the
contest has been
corner. I don't
decided,
know why.
and it's Possible he does something miraculous, but so unlikely that it's probably not worth the risk here.
And when you see him come out moving backwards like that, it lets you know that he doesn't really think he can do anything miraculous.
The doctor's made a decision that he can see, so therefore he can go back into the ring. But Harold Letterman, he's got no chance to win.
No, Jim. 9-0, 90-81, Terence Crawford. And in the 9th round, I'm telling you, the guy wanted to quit the entire 3 minutes. They should stop the fight.
Yeah, Crawford, you know, they're fighters. You mentioned Bernard Hopkins, Jim, who accumulated small advantages like a chess master throughout the fight, and they added up throughout the fight to a wide win for Hopkins. Crawford does that, but more than that, he studies his opponent, figures out exactly how to beat him up, and after a couple rounds just starts to beat the hell out of him, and that's what happened here tonight.
Well, he's more aggressive and he punches more. His punches are much more powerful pound for pound wise than Hopkins punches were. Hopkins beat you up, but nothing was going to one punch out.
It's not just that Crawford accumulates small advantages, it's that he figures out how to exploit big ones, and he does it, you know, before even the middle rounds begin.
If he had more devastating one-punch power, that would be more merciful. He beats fighters up, breaks them down, ruins their careers.
He got one-punch power. This guy's
he looked in the crowd and he looked back. I know you've seen that.
At 145, he would be down too.
Yeah, here's another scary thing about Crawford. As he's risen in weight, he's shown increasing power.
We got 95 people.
The question is sometimes
I appreciate everybody watching the video.
With him.
Like the video if you like the video.
Now humiliating.
He tapped Diaz on the head. He took his glove and tapped Diaz on the head.
To Crawford, look, you don't need to humiliate him like that. Fight straight up.
He just shitting on his pride right now.
Round 10 right now.
Crawford it's not just that he carried his punch up, it's he's actually a better puncher in a higher weight division.
When you see a guy who has the proper technique, man, no matter how much weight he gains or loses, he's still going to be a great puncher because he punches with proper technique. Terence Crawford is one of those guys that has the proper technique from the left side and the right side.
And so the additional weight,
every
he must be killing himself to make 135 pounds.
Of course he was. We saw that. He can make 147 right now as we see. He's 157 tonight.
The additional weight means his physical strength comes out and increase, you know, with a good technique.
Felix Diaz has landed only 4 punches in this round. It was pointless to send him back out here.
Right.
Yeah,
other than to further shorten his career.
Oh, good shot by Crawford.
And he having fun. He's not taking it serious, but he's still fucking him up.
Felix Diaz is one game fighter though.
Putting that pain.
They're not going to let him out for the next round.
Nah, they shouldn't let him out.
And there's the stern look on the face of the Diaz family.
Yeah.
I mean, he a warrior though.
Ringside, and now Joel Diaz waving the white towel, and we're done.
He came in. He tried hard.
Technical knockout victory for Terence Crawford at the end of round number 10.
Guys, Lamont Peterson's a good fighter. Diaz had a really tough fight with Peterson. That's Diaz's
I said that a little while ago.
Won a gold medal, and
he had a tough
competitive spirit and landed a few shots early, but was no match for Terence Crawford.
Who is? In the 140-pound weight class, there isn't anybody. Everybody wants to see what happens when he moves up to welterweight. First, he might fight Julius Ndongo to get the 4 belts in the 140-pound weight class. And then if he can do that, maybe he goes to welterweight. People are still talking about the possibility because they share a promoter of a fight with Manny Pacquiao. I don't think that Pacquiao is going to be any more eager to fight Crawford after what took place here tonight than was the case in the last several months leading into this, when the possibility existed for Pacquiao if that's what he wanted to do.
Yeah,
he's choosing to fight a guy named Horn in Australia instead.
I agree, and I think Crawford would be favored.
Lomachenko
Pacquiao remains, even though he's not what he once was. A tremendous matchup for anyone. Even Floyd Mayweather admitted he had his hands full, and that was a very difficult fight for him. So that would be a tremendous matchup, Pacquiao-Crawford.
Fight Pacquiao.
Well, Crawford certainly wants it. He has an ambition to become the #1 pound-for-pound guy, and that would be exactly the kind of name you want to get onto your resume. In the last 3 rounds, Terence Crawford landed 63 out of 98 power shots, and really, Roy Jones, He could have amped the volume up and done even more damage. He was selecting carefully those shots that he knew he could land.
They was being smart about it because the guy's 161 pounds. You don't want to run in on a super middleweight and you're a junior lightweight or junior welterweight and just give up big shots. So he did a smart job of taking his time, using his accumulation of punches to the head and to the body to weaken the opponent, and then slowly just let things come to
I hope so, man.
Don't go try to push the envelope too much and give yourself up or give up a big shot.
But it's still going to be a tough
31st
fight.
consecutive win. That's his mother over here to the right of the screen in the black and white. Deborah. She's the #1 fan. 31st consecutive win. 22nd knockout.
He got to fight Kovalev. He really knows how to box, and he's
amazing, and his power seems to be increasing with each passing fight, and this is the end.
Yeah, that was a good shot to the throat, followed by a beautiful right hook, followed by another left hand,
out early and
followed
go to the
by
body.
another right hook to the top of the head. He just was landing too many punches. Joel Diaz realized that and just called it off.
Crawford fought the entire fight in the southpaw stance. That's the first time we've seen that.
But I told you in the beginning of the fight before
I might lose my money.
Fighting a guy who won a gold medal as a southpaw was going to lead Crawford with his competitiveness to want to go out and show this guy that I'm better than you as a southpaw fighter.
Let's go to Michael Buffer for the particulars on the TKO.
Ladies and gentlemen, here at Madison Square Garden, the challenger's corner indicates they can no longer continue. Referee Steve Willis calls a halt to the bout. Officially at the end of round 10, the winner by TKO victory and still unified WBO, WBC super lightweight champion of the world, the fighting pride of Omaha, Nebraska, USA, Terence Bud Crawford.
Final CompuBox numbers.
We about to wrap it up in a minute.
Crawford landing 124
I said the same thing
more.
a little while ago, Aaron. I feel like, boy, he dropped a level. It's not much, but you could definitely tell he dropped
nearly
a level.
200 more.
Hand speed, foot speed.
Landing at a 37% overall connect percentage, which is very high.
Reflex.
And limiting Diaz to a 20% connect percentage, which isn't high. Power shots. Crawford landing 81 more, throwing 50 less. 59% of your power shots, that's freaky. That is just absolutely freaky. You don't see that number. And holding Diaz to 20% of his power shots.
He made Diaz.
It was a rout.
Like
it was a rout in which Diaz had a few interesting moments, but all in all, it was a rout because of the extraordinary talents of Terence Crawford, who stands by with Max Kellerman right now.
Congratulations, Terence, on a performance that we've come to expect from you. When you go up against good fighters, it seems to be no contest.
I like Broner at 140. I think.
But this guy started out
besides Crawford,
with a little more competitive energy, it seemed, early in the rounds than some of your opponents recently. Did you come out as a southpaw to prove to him that you could beat him as a southpaw? Why did you come out left-handed?
Well, first and foremost, I'd like to thank God for blessing me with this victory. And I'd like to dedicate this fight to my aunt that passed away, Bonnie Davis.
Everybody subscribe, like the video.
And I came out southpaw because I do what I want in there. This is my ring.
Because he's a southpaw, you wanted to prove to him that you're better than him as a southpaw?
Because that's what I wanted to do.
I was talking ringside and said that you, and I compared you to some great lightweights of the past. I know you're a junior welterweight now and soon probably a welterweight, but Pernell Whitaker, Roberto Duran, you're a mean guy in there. Like, you enjoy beating the guy up in a way maybe not all prize fighters do. Am I right about that? Why is that, Terence?
It's a fight. Can't be nice in there. My dad always taught me as a little kid.
Yeah, I'm going to be back the next weekend for that fight.
So you got to be mean in there.
We see that normal, really good fighters really don't provide you with competition. At least they don't push you. You need to be in there with another super fighter. Who do you see out there when you survey the landscape at 140, 147 pounds do you think makes a big fight with you where you will be pushed?
Pacquiao.
Gotta fight Pacquiao.
That's the only fight out there that we really looking for. If not, Ndango here, he came to my fight.
Ndango,
let's get it on, Ndango, wherever you at. Keith Thurman, whoever, let's go. I'll move up and fight anybody.
Do you think Pacquiao at this stage in his career is likely to fight you?
Will really be that fight for real.
Who knows? Hey, that's not up to me. I'm a fighter. That's up to my promoter, Bob Arum now. He got a fight that he's preparing for right now, so he's more focused on this fight than anything else. Like I said, I'm just blessed to get the victory and be here today amongst everybody.
In boxing, unfortunately, the case is nowadays a lot of times when you look the way you look, the super fights don't materialize right away because the other fighters don't want it. So you have to fight a certain level of opponent and look the way you do to make the case for yourself. In a pound-for-pound conversation, your name keeps coming up and rising. Is that important to you to be considered one day the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world?
Of course. That's what we all do it for.
We're going to talk about the fight. We're going to play the game.
You know, put our life on the line for us to be remembered in the sport of boxing.
Thanks, Terence. Look forward to seeing you real soon.
It's for my boy, Bernard Davis. Happy birthday, Sandy.
Jim.
Another celebration at ringside for the Crawford family. And meanwhile, Diaz has left the ring and makes his way back to the dressing room after a humiliating beating at the hands of the truly great Terence Crawford. And now Roy Jones at ringside, and Max Kellerman did a pretty good job of discussing all of the possibilities with him. First of all, you know the mentality of truly great fighters. Do you think that Manny Pacquiao at this stage of his career would still consider fighting a guy like Terence Crawford?
Of course he would. Manny Pacquiao is a guy who's also just as competitive as Terence Crawford. Manny Pacquiao has looked good in his last fights, as we've seen him. He still has a little bit left in the tank. He's definitely a competitive type of a guy. So he would gladly welcome Terence Crawford in the right kind of situation. Now, if it's not the right situation, then why should he fight Terence Crawford? But if it's great money and it's a great opportunity for him, of course he'd welcome that fight.
Sounds like the next fight we might see would be Julius Ndango of Namibia, and that's a chance for Crawford to get hold of all 4 140-pound belts. But at 147, and he mentioned some of the names, you have Keith Thurman, you have Danny Garcia still, you have Errol Spence and Kell Brook. There's a lot of talent at 147. Does Crawford qualify right now if he moves up to fight any or all?
Yeah, he qualified to fight one time. One time basically has risen to the top of that division in my eyes, because he's beat the best, who was Danny Garcia, who I thought it was him or Danny who were the rulers of the 147 division. So with Floyd being gone, one time is the ruler, and he's the ruler at one.
Kobe Bryant, probably Michael Jordan, someone who needed to compete with everyone at all times in everything and make competitions where they didn't even exist. That's Terence Crawford's basic personality. He is defectively competitive, and I think it makes him, I suspect, it makes him a great fighter, and I can't wait until the day
at some point is to appear here in the Mecca of boxing, Madison Square Garden. So
we got a few people still in here.
To New York, appeared in the big room at Madison Square Garden.
Subscribe to the page. We're going live on Grand Theft Auto in 10 minutes.
What has become his typical performance? A performance in which he goes into the ring.
Till then, y'all have a good night. And Crawford won. He won by knockout.
And then produces vicious
or TKO.
Which separates him from every other fighter in his weight class. We look forward, as we have for the past few years, to seeing what he does next. And thanks for being with us
on this Madison Square Garden edition of World Championship Boxing.
All right, we about to be out of here. We gone, y'all. Y'all have a good night, man. We out.